guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Hi, my name is Jocelyn and welcome to today's true crime video. This is the third time that I've had to refilm this video because the first time, I don't even want to talk about the first time, okay? I just fucked up on that one. The second time I filmed this video, I filmed it yesterday, and I just didn't like it, okay? I really did not like the way it came out, and I'm not gonna post something that I don't really fucking like, okay? So either I'm gonna redo it or I'm gonna move on, and we're redoing this one, okay? Go ahead and give me a thumbs up, you guys, for redoing it so many times and for just being awesome, okay? So you guys, this true crime video is all about Tiffany and Cole and the horrific murder that she was involved in. Tiffany Ann Cole was born on December 3rd in 1981 in South Carolina. Growing up, Tiffany was a really good kid. She was non-problematic. She was very sweet, very kind, an amazing kid. And as she got older, she actually was a part of the band at school, and she was also a cheerleader. And she never really got into trouble with, you know, the cops, nothing really like legal wise. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit to when Tiffany was 16 years old. At the time, Tiffany and her family actually lived next door to a couple named Carol and Reggie Sumner. Carol and Reggie were pretty close to Tiffany and her family. They had lived next door to them pretty much all of Tiffany's life. They watched her and her siblings grow up. In 2005, Reggie and Carol decided it would be best for them to move to Jacksonville, Florida. They did just that. They went ahead and packed up all their things and moved from South Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. Because Carol and Reggie lived next door to Tiffany and her family, and they knew them, you know what I mean? They actually decided to sell Tiffany a car that she would pay off in installments. So every month she would give them a certain amount of money towards the car. You guys know what I mean? Everything was going fine for the first few months. Tiffany was making the payments on time, and she would even drive personally down to Jacksonville to deliver the car payment and stuff like that. She would go with friends. Sometimes she would go alone. In June of 2005, a little bit after Reggie and Carol had moved to Jacksonville, Tiffany and her boyfriend at the time, named Michael Jackson, they both decided to go ahead and make the drive to Jacksonville, Florida to finalize the paperwork for Tiffany's car. Once they got to Jacksonville and, you know, got done taking care of whatever they needed to get done, it was pretty late and they didn't really want to drive back in the middle of the night after driving so long and just being tired and stuff. So they actually asked Reggie and Carol if it would be okay for them to spend the night, and then in the morning they would go, you know, go back home to South Carolina. It was this night, you guys, that Michael, Tiffany's boyfriend, decided to start planning how they were going to rob Carol and Reggie. They wanted to take as much money as they could out of their bank accounts. In an interview that I actually saw with Tiffany, she's mentioned that her and Michael had only been dating for 3 weeks up until that point. So they didn't really know each other very well. I don't really think you can really know someone very well in 3 weeks. Fuck, sometimes years can go by and you really never finish knowing a person, you know what I mean? The very next day, you guys, they head back home, and that same day they get in contact with two of Michael's friends. One of them goes by the name of Alan Wade, and the other one is Bruce Nixon. Basically, Michael and Tiffany let them know that they want to rob Reggie and Carol, and they go ahead and explain to them what they have come up with, what the plan is, so that they can get the money out of their bank accounts. The very next day, after Tiffany and Michael stayed the night at Reggie and Carol's home, Alan and Bruce pull up to Carol and Reggie's home and ask if they could come inside to use their phone. Of course, Reggie and Carol, being the amazing and kind-hearted people that they were, they quickly agreed and invited them inside to their home so that they could use the phone. while they were inside Reggie and Carol's home. When Bruce and Alan attacked Reggie and Carol, they beat them and tied them up with duct tape. Once the couple was all tied up and beat, Alan and Bruce put them in the trunk of their Florida Lincoln and started to drive to a remote location on the border of Georgia. Bruce and Alan were headed to a place in Georgia called Charlton County. While Bruce and Alan drove in their Lincoln with Reggie and Carol in their trunk, Tiffany and Michael followed behind in another car, and they did this so that in case Alan and Bruce got pulled over, Tiffany and Michael could be a distraction, or if anything went wrong, Tiffany and Michael were there ready to go just in case of anything. Once they got to Charlton County, Georgia, Alan and Bruce went ahead and dug a hole in the ground, and once they were done digging the hole, the four of them pulled out Reggie and Carol and basically beat them until they told them their social security numbers, their account information, their PINs, their passwords, codes, anything and everything that they needed to get to Reggie and Carol's money is what they were after. Once they got everything that they needed from Carol and Reggie, they blindfolded them and threw them in the hole that Bruce and Alan had dug, covered them, and left them there. You guys, they got the information that they needed, buried them alive, and drove off. After they committed that crime, Michael, Tiffany, Alan, and Bruce all decided to go ahead and start trying to empty out Carol and Reggie's bank accounts, because after all, that is what, you know, they were after. They were just trying to rob them. It really didn't take police very long to realize that there was something weird going on with the Sumners accounts. Obviously, you know, you start seeing all these random activities, it's going to raise questions. And of course, it did not take police very long to realize that Tiffany was, you know, a part of all this, and she was the one that was gonna go see them and finalize everything with her car and stuff like that. So they just like 1 + 1 = 2 type of shit. Police were able to trace Tiffany, Michael, Bruce, and Alan back to a local hotel thanks to some camera footage that they were able to obtain from a local ATM that Tiffany had gone to, trying to get more money out of the Sumners bank accounts. And, you know, it didn't take them very long to be able to find them and arrested and brought all of them in for questioning. Now, at the time of everybody's questioning and everybody's arrest, Alan, Michael, and Tiffany didn't say anything. Tiffany the whole time pleaded innocent. As for Michael and Alan, they didn't really say anything and they didn't really want to work with the police or anything like that. Bruce, however, on the other hand, confessed to the robbery and to everything that they did, and he actually was the one that took the police and led them to where they had buried Reggie and Carol. Unfortunately, by the time that police were able to find and dig up Reggie and Carol, they had passed away in the hole that they were buried in. They had actually managed to untie themselves and unblindfold themselves, but they were not strong enough to dig themselves out of that hole. So they ended up dying in each other's embrace. That's just so heartbreaking. It was found that Tiffany actually pawned a bunch of the Sumners jewelry and was able to obtain over $1,000 just from the debit cards that she used at the ATMs. Now, it was time for everybody's trial to take place, and Tiffany's trial actually took place in October of that same year in 2005, and it lasted for a week. The jury deliberated for less than 90 minutes before deciding that Tiffany was guilty of first-degree murder. And the jury actually voted 9-3 that Tiffany should receive the death penalty. The judge gave Tiffany 2 death sentences with a life sentence in prison. Tiffany was 16 years old at the time of the crime and at the time of her trial, and she is now about 39 years old, and she is in Florida's Lowell Correctional Institution. Alan and Michael got the death penalties as well for the murders of the Sumners, but Bruce, however, on the other hand, only got 45 years because he was the one that confessed to everything and led the police to where they had buried Reggie and Carol Sumner. Tiffany became one of 3 women to be put on death row for her crime. But in 2017, you guys, so just a few years ago, Tiffany as well as Alan and Michael got their death penalties revoked. This was because the Supreme Court ruled that it was a violation of their 6th Amendment, and they needed to have a jury that was unanimous in their voting. All the jury agreed for the death penalty, or nobody agreed for the death penalty. Tiffany, Alan, and Michael are still waiting their next trial to start so that they can get re-sentenced. When Tiffany went into prison, she was actually pregnant. I'm not exactly sure how far along she was, and again, I'm not entirely sure what ended up happening to her baby, but in one of the interviews that I did see with her, she mentioned her unborn baby in heaven. So I don't really know what went on there, but it does lead me to believe that, she never ended up giving birth to that baby. The whole time that Tiffany was on trial and the whole time that was going on, she always pleaded innocent, and she always asked for forgiveness and for mercy.
Judge Weatherby, I'm not asking for justice, but rather mercy. The same mercy that God has continues to give me. I believe that there are many more people that I can reach out to with God's guidance and your mercy.
That is the story of Tiffany Cole and what happened to Reggie and Carol Sumner. May they rest in peace. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned about a new case, something different. I will be trying to follow this case just because now that I know about it, I would just really like to know what's gonna happen in the trials for Tiffany, Alan, and Michael. If I have any updates, please come back to this video and check in the description box. I'll put in there like if there's any updates, what's going on and stuff like that, so that we can kind of follow this together. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, a dope rest of your week. Don't forget to be happy, drink your water, and don't trust anybody, okay? If I've learned anything from just these few true crime videos that I have done, is that you really cannot trust a single soul. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.